Hi there, Holistretch fam. It's Frances Eve here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 stretches to open up your hamstrings, hips, and low back. And this will hopefully help you to touch your toes. So whether you've never touched your toes before, or you used to and you kind of fell off the wagon and you're not able to do it anymore, or it's a struggle, I'd love to support you in your toe touching journey. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, as I actually have so many videos focusing on hamstrings and hips and low back. Follow along. You don't need any equipment, just a mat, something to sit on, and let's get started. Hey, welcome back. We're going to start by opening up the spine and really getting into that low back. And how we're going to do that? We're going to get on our hands and knees. This is called cat-cow. I'm sure you've done this one plenty of times, but all of these stretches, I'm going to give you a little alternative way to do them in the resistance style. And the resistance style has been the most effective way to stretch that I have ever stretched or ever learned how to stretch. And so your results should be much faster than the typical holding and releasing kinds of stretches. You know what I mean? So with these cat-cows, you want to go ahead and get in the position, the hands right under your shoulders, your knees right under your hips. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to find your belly button, just consciously find it, and bring your energy to your belly button. Then you're going to squeeze in, so squeeze in those core muscles, and curl, 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 curl. So creating that energy around the navel, squeezing the muscles around it inwards. As you squeeze inwards, the spine starts to round up and curl up. And the coccyx, or your very low back, begins to curl underneath you. So really, this isn't about trying to move your back. It's actually about squeezing in those muscles, those core muscles. Squeeze, 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 squeeze to lift, to curl, and naturally to round. Then as you round, the head just naturally drops down. And we come into an inhale, squeezing up. And then exhale, we're going to slowly exhale as we slowly release the core muscles. So slowly letting go, releasing the navel on the exhale. And notice as you exhale, your hips come up, your back starts to sink down a little bit, and the head comes up. So this is the full movement of the stretch. Let's go ahead and do it again. We're going to inhale, squeezing. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Create that roundness in the spine through squeezing your core muscles. Navel to your spine. Curling, rounding, feeling the sacrum curling in. And exhale. Slowly drop those muscles. Slowly release the navel. Yes. And back out. Good. Doing these nice and slow really helps you to feel into your body, to feel where you're tense, to feel where you're tight, and focus on releasing those areas. So let's do it a few more times. Squeezing in, squeezing the navel. Navel to spine, lifting up, curling in, dropping the neck. Inhale. And then exhale. Releasing down, releasing the hips, releasing the back, and neck comes up. Good. 2 more. Squeezing in, curling in, letting the coccyx curl underneath you, and dropping head and neck. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Inhale, and exhale. Dropping back down, nice and slow. Relaxing the belly and letting the neck come up. You got it? Last one. Let's go. Squeezing in. Inhale. Navel in towards the spine, letting that curl you all the way up and around. exhale, slowly dropping down, feeling yourself ground into the mat and lift. Sweet. So I hope this feels really good. Before we move on to the next stretch, give yourself some little circles with the hips. Just feel that you have become a bit looser in the low back. This is really important. You can't really touch your toes if your low back feels super tense and tight, right? There's just no movement there. So creating some oxygen flow, letting the hips round and relax. And then we'll make our way onto our backs. All right, so the next stretch we're going to do is to gently open up our hip area. So if you can't touch your toes, you probably consider yourself inflexible. So I'm just helping you to get into these stretches in a gentle way. So bringing one leg in front of the other on top of the knee. We're going to do a figure 4. So bringing your legs like so. Hopefully you're flexible enough that you can get that foot on the knee. If you are really struggling with even just this movement, you can just take the knee into the chest. But if you can get onto knee, get it onto the knee. And then from here, we'll lift the knee up just so you can feel into the tension and see where you're tight. For me, I'm feeling it a little bit more in the inner thigh, but maybe for you, you'll feel it on the outer. Just notice. And then what we're going to do is take our hands and wrap them around the outside of the knee. So again, we're taking an alternative to this figure 4 stretch by adding resistance to make it more effective. Bringing the hands around the knee. We're going to squeeze the knee in towards the chest. You can use the other leg to help bring that leg forward. And then I want you to press that knee into the hands. So I'm actually contracting the muscles in here by pressing out, pushing out against my hands, and then squeezing back in as I'm pushing out. So it's maybe a little confusing at first if you're not used to resistance stretching, but essentially you're resisting the stretch. So I'm pushing the knee into my hands, and as I'm pushing out, I'm pulling it back in towards the chest, feeling this area, this whole glute area contract and stretch. Okay, so pushing out. Ooh, you might be a little shaky. I'm a little bit shaky here, I notice. Pushing the knee into the hands and then squeezing back in. You can always lift up for a little extra. And pushing back out. So exhale, pushing out. Inhale, squeezing in. And push out. Okay, you feeling that? When you're resisting, you're pulling it in, you should feel a little burn right here in the glute area. And this burn is helping you to activate those muscles, helping you to create strength and flexibility. You do want strength around the glutes in order to touch your toes because you want that even balance. You want flexibility and you want strength so that you can reach and then you can come back up. Does that make sense? Pushing the knee out and squeezing back in. Great, let's do 2 more. So pushing the knee into the hands. I like to touch where it's burning. So if it's burning here, I'm gonna touch right here. I'm gonna pull the knee back into chest. Big inhale and then big push out, exhale. Good. Before we move on to the other side, actually, we're going to do one more stretch on this side, and it's going to open up the hamstring. So our third stretch is the hamstring opener. And how we do that is we're going to bring our hands behind our knee, and then we're going to bend the leg, okay? Very, very simple. Keep it bent And then from here, while we're holding the leg in towards the chest, we're going to see how far we can stretch it open. Okay? So bringing it to a bend and then seeing if we can stretch it straight. Okay, this is going to be a dynamic stretch. You're going to feel, hopefully, an opening wherever you feel tight in the hamstrings. For me, it's right around the ischial tuberosity. So basically right where the sit bones meets the hamstring. That's where I feel the tightest. And how we open that up is we bend and we flex up. So if you flex the foot, you'll notice that you get more into the calf. Okay, so it is good to flex it if you want a deeper stretch. So we'll start with the bend, inhale, and exhale. Okay, let's go for 3 more. Bend, inhale, and exhale. Keeping that hip on the ground, don't let it lift up. Keeping that rooted down. Bend and straighten. Have no shame if you can't stretch your leg open yet. If you're just right here, as long as you're feeling the stretch, that's all that I really, really want. I want you to feel that stretch. Bending in, last one, inhale and exhale. Feel the stretch. All right. And now, before we move on, just see where you can straighten the leg. So if you can straighten it over here, straighten it here. If you can straighten it here, straighten it here. If you can straighten it, if you can bring your leg all the way to your head, bring it to your head. But then you probably won't be watching this video. So just straighten where you can and just hold. And we'll just hold for about 10 counts. And breathe. Another video I'd recommend for you guys, if this is feeling like burning, which it is for me actually, my hamstrings are feeling pretty tight today, you can always grab a strap or a belt or something like that to wrap around your foot and gently pull forward, and that will seriously deepen your stretch. So I have some strap videos that you can check out for that, but today we'll do without, all right? Let's go ahead and move on to the other side. All right, so we're going to start with that figure 4. Bringing that leg across the knee, and we'll pull it in. Just get a feel for where you're tight. For me, on this leg, it's on the outer hip. It's where I'm feeling the most tension. So wherever you feel a tension, I do want you to bring your consciousness to that area, your focus to that area, and set your intention to open that area up. It really is important for us to use our minds to support our physical changes in our body. So if you're feeling like you're sick, instead of telling yourself, oh no, I'm sick, I'm getting sick, why don't you tell yourself, I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm getting healthier. And we can do the same thing with our body. If we're feeling tightness and tension in our hip, say I'm opening my hip, I'm creating flexibility in my hip. Seriously, try it. And also bring your hand to touch the area while you set your intention, all right? Crossing the hands, bringing them on the outside of the knee. We'll go ahead and squeeze the knee into chest, all right? Now contracting the glutes here, pushing into the hands, push, 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 and then bring it back into chest. You can use the bottom leg to help bring it closer to your chest. But even though your leg is helping, I want you to really focus on the contraction, squeezing the muscle, pushing out as we pull it in. Good, 4 more, pushing out, pulling it in, exhale. Just like so. Bring your hand to wherever it's tight, pushing out. On the inhale and squeezing out on the exhale. Good. 2 more. One more time. Good job. Inhale. Pushing open and squeeze. Resist. All right. Next, we're going to work on the hamstrings. So bringing the hands behind the knee, we're going to go ahead and see how much we can straighten. And as you're working on straightening, notice where you feel tight. So it might be behind the calf, might be around the ischial tuberosity. Notice that so you know which muscles to focus on and work on. And remember that when we flex, we lengthen the calf muscle. And as this lengthens, the muscle here shortens. And as this lengthens, the muscle here shortens when we point. So we want to keep it flexed because we're working on the back side of the leg. So bending on the inhale, we'll go ahead and exhale, straighten. Bend, inhale. Exhale, straighten. And every time you straighten, see if you can straighten a little more and get a bit more of a stretch. Okay, let's go 4 more. And reach. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. And reach. Lastly, we're going to just hold that leg up, but I want you to make sure it's straight. So here, if it's a little bent, you might need to push it away to straighten it more. I want it super straight, okay? And we'll hold here for 10 seconds. You might start shaking a little bit, totally normal. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop it down. Ooh, all right. Even here, you can test if you can, how far you are from reaching it. And notice the measurement. Because if you're all the way down here, obviously it's going to be harder for you to reach your toes, right? If you can only straighten it down here, you're going to be reaching about your knee. If you can straighten up here, you're going to be able to touch your toes. So this is also a good measurement. All right, let's move on to the next 2 stretches. Okay, we're on hands and knees. Now we're going to bring the front leg up into a low lunge and the back knee, slide it back until you feel a stretch in the hip flexor. We're going to sink down and melt down into the hip flexor. So right on the other side, you should feel a deep stretch. This is also opening up the psoas muscle, which the psoas connects the upper and the lower halves of the body. So when the psoas is tight, it's really hard to get a good stretch in the legs and the hips. So we really want to open up the psoas. This is going to help you. We're going to do a dynamic stretch here with resistance. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. How we do that is we contract the hip flexor, just like in the beginning for cat-cow, but instead of contracting the core muscles, we're contracting the hip flexor. Notice as you contract it, the hips move back and the front leg starts to open up. And as the front leg opens up, I want you to only go until you feel your limit. So if it feels super tight or it starts to pinch or you just feel like, okay, that's enough, that's where you want to stop. Okay, just stop there. And then you want to contract the hamstring, so squeezing it, to pull forward again, back onto that hip flexor. Okay, so that is the whole movement. We're going to squeeze the hip flexor on the inhale, letting this just release open, then contract to your point of flexibility, pull forward on the exhale, back onto the hip flexor. Okay, we're going to do 4 more. Ready? Let's go. Squeezing in. Opening up. Squeezing. Pulling forward, exhale. squeezing up. And if you can do this dynamic stretch, I am sure that after some time, you'll definitely be able to touch your toes. It might take a class every morning for the next 5 mornings. It might take 10 mornings. It just depends on your body. So there's never any guarantee with how long you'll be able to do it within some amount of time, because everybody's different. And also it depends on how much you're contracting and how much you're focusing on the stretch to make a real difference in your body. And forward. Very good. Let's go ahead and release the knee open. So we're just going to go ahead and rock it out to the side. You can be on the edge of that foot. This really helps to just open up that hip. I feel that in the hip flexor too, and the psoas. We're going to move on to our last stretch. This might look familiar to you. We're going to bring the foot to the other side. And we're going to come in what might look like a pigeon pose. But I don't want you to relax into a pigeon pose. I want you to keep the spine straight and come forward until you feel a deep stretch in the hips. So for some of you, you may not be able to get the knee totally down. It's okay. If the knee is up here, as long as you keep your spine straight and you feel a stretch, that's where I want you. If you can bring it down, bring it down. Straighten the spine here. From here, we're going to come down, almost like a push-up, but you want to contract the glutes as well. So squeezing yourself up. On the inhale, exhale, coming down. This is a bit of a workout, so you might feel warmth in your body. Squeezing up, contracting the glutes here. And exhale down. Good. Squeezing back up. And as you come up, you might notice that stretch in the hip flexor again. And then 2 more. Come down. Lift up. Last one. Coming down. Straight spine. And here. Good job. Again, if you're not able to go all the way down, go where you can. So if you're right here, make those little movements to start to get that knee down towards the mat. Okay, this will really help to open up those hips. Let's go ahead and shake it out. Give yourself some little hip circles. And we'll move on to the other side. On our hands and knees, we're going to come into that low lunge again. Sliding that back knee down so you can open that hip flexor. We're going to lift up through the spine, nice and straight. Oh my gosh, I feel super tight on this side. One of your sides will always be a little tighter. That's just how it goes. And we're going to squeeze the hip flexor. And notice as you squeeze, the front leg starts to open up. Now, just like the other side, we're contracting here, squeezing forward, pulling forward, and coming back into that hip flexor, or the psoas. Squeezing the hip flexor, coming back. Open, only to your point of flexibility. So if it's here, it's here. Contract it from here, and then pull forward. All right, guys, ready? 4 more? Let's go. Squeezing back. Inhale, contracting, exhale. Inhale, contracting, exhale. 2 more. Contracting. Now notice that every time you come back, see if you can go even deeper into that hip flexor. Last one. Big inhale, stretch, exhale, forward. Great job bringing the hands to the inside of the knee, we'll go ahead and come to the outer edge of the foot and just let it hang open. You might hear some cracks in here. It's okay if you don't, but it's a really nice opener for that hip. All right, ready for the last stretch? We're going to go ahead and walk that foot over to the other side. And just come down to however you feel like you can, okay? I want you to just feel the tension and tightness in that glute. This is such a problem area for so many people, mostly because we sit so much as Americans in general. Most people sit a long time, like 60% of their day. And if that's you, then you really need to work on opening the glutes, opening those hips, opening the hamstrings, okay? So this is a really great way to do it. Straightening the spine, coming into that low push-up, and lifting up. Now, I want you to come up enough that you can contract it here, so keeping it nice and squeezed, coming up through that straight spine, and then folding forward. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. 2 more. Inhale up, exhale down. Last one. Inhale up and exhale down. Let's go ahead and go for a bonus. Inhale up, last one. And drop it. Good. Now from here, sliding back and shaking it off. All right, great job. Lastly, we just want to measure and see where we are now in our toe touching goals. We have worked on the hamstrings that will help lengthen, so help you reach further down. We worked on the glutes that'll help you bend further. And then we worked on the low back that'll help you reach further. So hopefully you have gotten a little further after practicing these 5 stretches. It's always about consistency, of course. So when you're consistent and you're also concentrating and focused on your stretches, then you'll definitely get further. Now, some of you may be stretching to reach your toes, but you're here with a round spine. Eventually, what I want you to be able to do is reach your toes and keep the integrity of a straight spine, because that will really show you how much you have stretched your hamstrings, right? So this is the ultimate goal, to be able to reach the toes and strengthen the spine. All right, I hope this video helped you. Definitely leave a comment below. Let me know about your journey. I'm so curious, and also where you notice tension in your body, because there are other videos that I have on my channel that can help you fine-tune just those exact muscle groups. All right, feel free everyone. Take care. It's been wonderful stretching with you.